ese uno. Muchas gracias al consejo. Espero que les dé más campeones, no más al consejo, pero las demás organizaciones.
Abel, dos palabras. Dos palabras.
Now that it's done and over, how do you rate United performance tonight, waiting on verdict?
I think I have to rate 2 different rounds. I think the first round he came out real like he wanted to knock his head off. When he came back in the corner, I asked him to settle down. I asked him to do some those combinations, get into a rhythm, stop trying to get a one-punch knockout. And he came out in the second round with that kind of conviction.
We saw everyone mentions how at the end of the first round, Rosian got United with a good shot, and he seemed maybe what did you tell him? Did United say something to you about that?
No, this is like he says. This is boxing, and the fact that he caught Gennady with a shot just gives us, not only the corner but the fans, the kind of fight that we came to see. We didn't come to see a blowout. We didn't come to see somebody just get beat up. And the fact that Vanes came at him, and look, if they go at each other like they did, what if Vanes lands a good shot like he did in that round? What if the second round, when they're going at each other, Vanes lands a good shot and it hurts Golovkin? But that's what we've expected from Golovkin. I think the StubHub has become known for those kind of fights, those kind of action. So I think that it excited the crowd, it excited Golovkin, it excited us in the corner because finally we're getting somebody that's going to give us the kind of fight that the fans are looking to see.
Do you think it might have gave Vanes maybe a false sense of confidence when he landed that shot and that's why he stood in there?
No, I think Vanes made it clear from the onset that he was going to come out and try to disrespect Golovkin. But very few people have done that. I think, what's his name, Willie Monroe tried that too. But eventually, I think Golovkin's not only power, but ring IQ takes over. But if they give us that kind of fight, we all get treated to a great night.
What were you expecting when Vanes stepped in the ring with Golovkin?
Exactly that.
Yeah?
Exactly that. I've known Vanes for a long time, and I know that he's a warrior. I have another cruiserweight champion that is Armenian also, and their blood is like this Russian blood. You know, they just like to fight. They just want to come at you. And if he did that, I knew that he was going to get caught. I didn't think it was going to be the second round. I said to somebody the 6th round is what I thought. But I'm happy it's over.
Abel, can you mention in English, I know you were talking in Spanish about the hair follicle test, that doesn't settle things for you, that you still, can you put it, you mentioned what you said in Spanish about why the test results were mentioned so late.
Well, first of all, I think that if I have a fighter that I'm trying to prove is clean and we made a mistake, I think that I would have him enrolled in every kind of test you could imagine. I think that Oscar and Canelo have the resources to be able to do that. Vada should be testing him now. I think Oscar was quoted about 3 weeks ago and saying that he's going to be tested every day.
Every day.
To this day, if you ask Vada, he hasn't even enrolled in anything. So they're not trying to comply with what we would like for them to comply with. The hair follicle test, if I have a fighter that tested dirty and I'm going to do a test that everybody's asking for and I know that my fighter's clean, I'm going to yell out to the world to say that I'm going to test the hair follicle like everybody wants so that everybody can see that I am clean, knowing in their mind that the test is going to be negative. Yet, that test wasn't talked about until the results came out. Why?
Don't you think if you moved on from Canelo, it would have ruined his career forever? If you just said, we're not going to Canelo, I know it's a money fight, it makes monetary sense, but if you moved on, don't you think Canelo, or do you believe, is a better question, do you believe that it will tarnish Canelo's career and you guys moved on and fought?
No, I think Canelo's a great fighter. I think Canelo, if everything is true, he made a mistake. Let's clean it up. Let's clean it up in this next fight and go on to the next one and have a great career after that. But why does this have to linger not only from this fight to the next one? If he doesn't test at all this time, until he gets reactivated by the Nevada Commission, if he doesn't test at that point, are we to believe that he's doing nothing? So why not just clean it up right away?
It's great suspicion. Yeah. Caught in Mexico, didn't enroll. It's just too much suspicion. Yeah.
Let's get it over with. Let's test, get it over with. I'm clean. Then we go on to the next one. And I think people will forget. I think people will forget.
After the outcome of the first fight and the bad blood between Canelo and Triple G, if they fight again, do you think Canelo will be more offensive?
I think that both guys are going to be more offensive. I think that both guys are pissed off at each other because of things that I've said and things that they've said. But that's good. That's good for all of us. It's good for me in the corner. I get more work to do.
Abel, let's say they don't fight each other. What's after Canelo? What can we expect?
At the end of this month, probably in the next couple, 3 weeks, we're going to sit down as a team and discuss with Thomas, discuss with Eric and with Oscar to find out what it is that is possible on that front.
Would you guys go after a O'Sullivan guy that?
You know what? There's a lot of opportunities out there. Like the question
Ideally,
was,
who would you want?
Canelo.
Let's take Canelo out of the equation.
Whomever is willing to step up to the table. Listen, the only reason this Vanes fight was made because Vanes was reasonable.
Right, absolutely.
Okay? With the situation. Every time somebody fights Golovkin, they want lottery money. And sometimes it's just not possible. I know that you guys don't get to hear the numbers because it's none of nobody's business but Golovkin and whomever he fights. So when Saunders says he wants $7 million to fight Jacobs, that money's not there, man. So now that's to fight Jacobs. Imagine what he wants to fight Golovkin. You know, so it's all who. It's the guys that want to step up to the table and have that opportunity to fight for 4 belts or for the belts that will determine that.
Assuming all things equal, though.
Well, that's the beauty about 360 Promotions. They're really the Sweden of boxing. They are pretty neutral about everybody. They're willing to work with.
Oh, we're willing to work with everybody.
Absolutely,
it doesn't matter.
Okay, let's take Canelo out of the question. Who, as a trainer, I mean, you're really the guy that spearheads.
The best fight for me would be Murata right now. That's what I would want. Why? Because of the prestige in selling out of the arenas that he's doing in Japan. He's the one really that's trying to be somebody. Everybody else here in the U.S. is waiting for a payday.
Yeah, and I think most of us, maybe a lot of the media members, don't know who Murata is, and you know who he is.
Well, of course,
I know who he is.
He's a gold medalist who's a WBA regular champion right now. He's probably had about 14 or 15 fights, maybe 16 fights. But everybody here in the U.S., the guys that were mentioned, they're all waiting for a payday. Look, Derevchenko fought an 8-round fight against a guy that was 22-22 in his last fight. 2 weeks later, that qualifies him to fight Golovkin. That don't make any sense.
What if the IBF said that has to be next, though? Would you give up the belt?
What? That's something we have to sit down as a team and discuss, but I think that Tom made it clear that there's some issues that have to be resolved legally.
Yeah.
Their bylaws don't particularly say that, so when Ron and their attorneys or Pat Lynch and their attorneys get it ironed out, we'll know what the next step is.
Abel, is Murata, is he really as big a challenge as the Jacobs and the Saunders and the Charlos, though? Because you said that that's the fight you want the most, but wouldn't those other guys be more challenging? I know you're saying they want the big paycheck.
But challenging would see. What people don't understand is that if Golovkin carries the show and they're asking for 50% of the money, that's kind of hard to do. It doesn't matter what the other guy is. If Jacobs and Charlo were to fight each other, or if they were to fight somebody, Jacobs looked terrible in his last 2 fights. Now, if he has a great fight, now we're talking again about interest. But if there's no interest and they're looking for lottery money, that's kind of hard to stomach for Golovkin anyway.
So do you feel like Charlo and Jacobs, they got to fight each other to earn a shot at the title?
Maybe go after Saunders, go after Derevchenko, go after some of those guys that are claiming to be at the top. Golovkin's not going to fight all of those guys. There's 5 or 6 guys that were mentioned. He's not going to fight all of those guys in 1 year. So they're going to have to eliminate each other somehow. Because we'll be talking about 3 years from now.
Who is the most difficult, though? Maybe not the biggest fight, but who's the...
They're all difficult, and they all have their own. Derevchenko's got a great amateur career. Derevchenko's got similar style to Golovkin. He's not the puncher that Golovkin is, but Jacobs has already proven that he's a hell of a fighter. Charlo is ex-world champion at 154, so they're all difficult. But it's just the one that's not only more marketable, but the more incentive for Golovkin, the more that we have to gain as a team. He is 36 years old. It's not like he's just going to fight fights to fight. You know, this fight tonight, I know all of you are too young to remember, but Ray Leonard fought Bruce Finch, fought David Boy Green, fought Andy the Hawk Price. You know, all these fights happened. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for us. With the circumstances weren't the same. It was forced on us, but all those fighters had those kind of fights. Bernard Hopkins had Antoine Eccles twice. Robert Allen 3 times. Come on.
Joe Lipsy.
Yeah, Joe Lipsy, exactly.
You're Joe Lipsy.
Hey, boy, if you do get the rematch with Canelo, would you advise Triple G to go to the body more than the first fight?
You know, in order to go to the body, did Canelo go to the body against us? No, and he's a body puncher. He knocked out Liam Smith with a body shot. You know, in order for somebody to be able to do what they did in the past, or to go to the body with Canelo or with Golovkin, they're going to have to be in front of him to be able to do that. You cannot. There was one point in the 4th or 5th round where Kenny Bayless admonished Golovkin for hitting him in the back. And if any of you know the rules, when somebody turns their back and a punch is on its way, it's a legal punch because you turned your back. Well, he warned him. We're in Vegas. We got a Vegas referee. We got judges that at the beginning I cried about and complained about Bird being on the panel. But we got Golovkin's not going to take a chance on getting appointed that way. We know it's going to be a close fight. I said to Gennady before we left, I said, we're 2 points down already.
You also complain about his wraps, correct? About the way they were wrapping his gloves?
Well, believe it or not, you can talk to the commission here if they're still here. But that is completely illegal in any part of the world, except in Vegas. Believe it or not, when we were there on the 18th of April for the hearing, they are rewriting the rules to allow that, only in Nevada.
They're rewriting, so that means it was illegal at the time of the fight.
Well, no, now they're specifying that it's legal. Okay. Before it wasn't either way, yeah?
Hey, but Lara's team had complained about Canelo.
Of course, it's illegal. I shouldn't say it's illegal. It's not within what we as the business understand it is fair play.
Where was the illegal part of it?
They're building a cast.
Okay.
They're building a cast.
There's a little more specific on it.
Okay, what they did is they put, in order to get away from the tape on the hand, they put wrap and tape, wrap and tape. Okay. It's like when you get a cast, what do? They put layers and layers and layers to make. Yeah, exactly. But you can, and don't quote me, but you can call the California Commission. They'll tell you that is completely illegal, and they're ignorant there.
Was it as illegal as the Margarito cast, or was it?
Well, first of all, Margarito didn't have a cast. The commission's never proven anything.
Yeah, but from what he was, Ruben Lee had in his raps, the plaster of Paris.
He had nothing in his raps. What he had was salt from, and if you read the rulings, the commission has never come up with anything that he did illegally other than use old raps that had salt from sweat. Okay, they've never said that he had plaster.
Yeah.
They never said that he had plaster. But what it is if you're familiar with weightlifting, the guys put that belt on to keep the. All you're doing is just making your hand into more of a weapon. It's not on the knuckles, but it's just on the hand. It protects you, but if that's the rule, then it should be the rule universally, so that everybody can do it.
Hey, when you were asked about going to the body more with Canelo, you said, well, you're gonna have to have the fighter stand in front of him.
Not necessarily.
At the end of the day, it's your job to cut off the ring. It's not his job to cut off the ring.
No, it's not.
It's boxing.
No, it's not.
He moves to cut off the ring.
No,
yes.
I'm sorry, you're mistaken. You're mistaken because boxing is a man. If he's saying he wants to knock him out, he needs to be standing there to knock him out. You can't be throwing punches in desperation to try to knock somebody out. You're going to have to knock somebody out by standing there and wanting. Now, using your defense and if you saw the Hagler fight and the Leonard fight, Leonard didn't run. Leonard stood there and fought with Hagler, but that was boxing. Okay? Canelo didn't stand there and fight with Golovkin. Golovkin tried to make it a fight. Okay, so it all depends on what you want to see, though. I'm not saying that he fought a bad fight. He fought a great fight not to get knocked out. He fought a great fight that he had never fought before. But if I'm a consumer and I see 45 fights a certain way, I'm expecting that kind of fight when fight night comes. If I get a different fight, then I'm going to complain as a consumer. I'm going to complain that I didn't get what I paid for.
Then what's your definition of cutting off the ring for you? Because last time I remember in boxing, it was if a fighter moves on you, you're supposed to cut off the ring.
Well, yes, of course you're supposed to cut off the ring, but you cut off the ring, and if two fighters want to make a fight, they're going to have to throw punches at each other. You cannot throw punches in desperation and run away and expect for it to be, even though you were there, expect for it to be a palatable fight for the fans.
Abel, you talked about the raps and you said it's only legal in Nevada. If that's the case, why not do it yourself and kind of gain the same, make it an even playing field?
Because I have 10 other fighters that I want to make sure that I wrap them the same way that I'm going to be able to wrap them anywhere in the world. I don't want to go somewhere where they're going to tell me I can't do this, and now my fighter in his mind is thinking, oh, I'm used to this, and it's going to affect us. I think mentally it affects you.
The money's with Murata and Canelo. Do you think the respect is with Charlo in terms of Gennady and his career?
I think the respect is just continuing to eclipse records no matter who he gets in there with, breaking the record. Now he tied it. Don't get me wrong, I think Bernard Hopkins is a great fighter. I think that Bernard Hopkins accomplished more than many of today's fighters will ever accomplish. But I think that by beating by beating the record in the next fight and continuing to do that regardless who they put in front of him, I think that's what's going to be more important. Not about the money. It's not about the money with Golovkin, seriously. If it was about the money, he wouldn't have fought this fight, because this fight was for nothing, almost.
Is the Canelo fight personal now?
No, nothing's personal in this business. You know why nothing's personal? Because the one that gets personal loses. Because you lose your mind. You got to go in there with 100% focus on what you're doing, and if you start making it personal, then it gets ugly, and it's a sport.
Do you?
Now, I will not stop talking about it, because I think that it gets under his skin, but it's nothing personal. I think he made a mistake. Okay, quit making mistakes is my message. Get enrolled in VADA.
When you kept the date, and Golden Boy took the May 4th date, did you take that as a personal jab or a slight issue, because they basically pulled from the same audience that you would be bringing in tonight?
No, I think that there's a lot of fighters that need opportunities, and there's a lot of fighters that need to be on this type of stage and need to fight. Golden Boy's got contracts with a lot of fighters that they need to put on, and whatever date's available, they need to put them on.
Piggybacking on his question about yesterday's fight, did you happen to see Ryan Garcia's fight?
I did not. No, but I heard that he went 10 rounds, and he learned a lot in the fight, as I told you he would.
Abel, I know you got to wrap it up, but did you have to chew that steak so loud?
I just did another one for ESPN Spanish, I think. But, it's just, again, when you're in a public eye and you do something wrong, you have to be ready to take criticism, right? You have to be ready to, and it's nothing personal, it's criticism, because we all do it.
That's why it looked good.
Yeah.
Abel,
it was 4 steaks that I went through, okay?
Abel, prior to the testing scandal, when the PES accusations against Canelo and the positive test, what was your perception of Canelo, and now is that tainted? Do you see Canelo as a lesser fighter? Do you see his legacy as a tarnished one? How do you see him, just the perception? How does that change?
Absolutely not. I think he's a great fighter. I think that Chepo and Eddie have done a magnificent job with him, bringing him from 15 years old or 14 years or whatever it was to this point. But I think that we all make mistakes, and when we make those mistakes, we have to rectify them in a way that proves to everybody that we made a mistake, and not hide and not act like you're above the law. You're above any kind of scrutiny from anybody. If he doesn't want scrutiny, if he doesn't want the jokes that we're doing, then maybe he needs to do what Oscar continues to say, and what the WBC continues to say, he's a clean fighter. He needs to go get tested and prove it to us.
I know hindsight's 20/20. Do you wish you would have got Billy Joe Saunders' belt last June?
No. Billy Joe Saunders again is another one of those fighters that they think that they're waiting for a paycheck. They're waiting for a huge paycheck, and it's difficult to negotiate with somebody like that, because it drags out Golovkin's career. I don't want him to go back to fighting once a year. I want him to fight 3 or 4 times a year, and if this is what it's going to take, then I'd rather have that.
So you don't think Billy's serious about fighting you guys, or it's just a lottery, like you said, lottery money?
It's lottery money, man. It's really, I think that it's not only Billy, but it's Charlo too, waiting for that. At least Danny is calling him out. Danny's calling him out because, Danny recognizes, and I think Danny's people recognize, that it could be a year and a half before all these guys get in line or get to the point where they're going to fight Golovkin. So if the Canelo fight happens in September and the Murata fight happens in December, then we're talking about next year for some of those guys. Why not fight each other? Why sit at home waiting to do something for that fight?
Do you think
were you expecting the fight to finish in 2 rounds?
No. I thought it was going to go like 6 rounds.
6 rounds. Yeah. But you were still expecting a big knockout.
Oh yeah, no. I knew that he'd eventually catch up with him, but I thought it was a 6-round fight. I told a couple people I thought it was a 6-round fight.
In terms of what he showed in there, it wasn't a lot of work, but in those 2 rounds, did you see what you wanted to see from him, or was there still more that you wanted to see from him against a guy like Bonds?
What I was most happy is not necessarily what happened in the ring, but what happened prior to the fight. Just the fact that the fans came out, just the fact that the reception that he got, just the fact that he was able to showcase his skills again. People expected this. They didn't expect it maybe in the 2nd round, but people that came here expected a knockout.
Hey, boy, let's talk about those colorful belts.
What colorful belt?
The Crayola belt that WBC brought.
You know what?
What do you feel? I don't know how you feel about it.
All of us here,
at one time or
another, at one time or another raced or played football or played baseball, and we all got trinkets like that.
Right.
And those trinkets were very important.
So they're participation belts.
They're belts of accomplishment.
Right.
Just like when we were kids, we all got trinkets like that. They're accomplishment. Yes, you get paid for it, but I think to be able to say you were first place, look, I was first place in racing or whatever, I'm a champion. You know, those are trinkets that
I got one of those.
Yeah, so do I.
I'm not
I got lots of
happy.
those.
Going back to the fight, it seemed in the first round, Vanes stunned Gennady.
Oh, he hit him with a good shot. I'm not gonna say he stunned him.
Okay, was he in fact hurt, or how was he when he came back?
No, I think that it's important for Gennady to feel like he's in a fight. And in the first round, he's going out there trying to knock his head off and just being lackadaisical, and he got caught with a good shot. But I think that's what woke him up, and that's what woke up the crowd too. Second round when he came back to the corner, I said to him, stop looking for one punch. Stop looking for one punch. Just go out there and get into a rhythm and throw some combinations, give me a good jab, some good feints, and see what happens. But the crowd expected that, and he wanted to give that to the crowd.
Were you surprised that Vanes lived up to his word and actually fought Gennady up front and didn't move away?
No, I wasn't surprised. I have an Armenian cruiserweight champion, Arsen Goulamirian, WBA champion, who has that kind of blood too. They're very ferocious. They're warriors, and when they say something, they go do it. He came to fight, and I knew he was going to come to fight.
Are you tired tonight? You worked 3 fights tonight, Abel.
I was exhausted. The knockdown, I don't even remember. I don't even see it. I was looking down. I was doing getting my stuff ready to go for the next round. But I saw the punches at the end, but I really didn't really pay attention.
What's the beef with you and Roy Jones?
There's no beef.
Okay, explain that, because he absolutely went off on you yesterday.
Okay, let me tell you what it is.
I didn't know why.
If you don't want to hear what I say or what I have to say, one, not only don't listen. If you don't want to hear what I have to say, don't criticize me and expect me not to answer back. When he's criticizing my fighter for the fight that he's having against the kind of opposition that we're having, to tell me that he moved up to 175 pounds and won the title at 175 pounds, that's not true. He won the title against a 40-year-old man that retired after that fight. There was a 154-pound champion named Mike McCallum. Fought him at 40 years old and beat him, and that's how he became a 175-pound champion. So don't talk about my fighter and then expect me to just shut up. Okay? He fought a 40-year-old man that retired right after that fight.
In his defense, and I think he told us that he did it as a favor to him.
Well, you know what? Then don't talk about my fighter. Then I won't talk about you. Simple.
Do you think 6 months was too short or just right?
I think that the Nevada Commission did what they thought was correct. The only thing that I disagree with, and it's in their rules, is not that they didn't want to do that, is that they lose jurisdiction over him from the moment he got suspended to the moment he's reinstated. Meaning that there's no obligation on Canelo's part to the commission to be tested at all in that period of time, which is kind of ignorant. I mean, if I get a DUI, or I get 2 or 3 DUIs, let's just say, don't they put a
Oscar?
Don't they put a clamp on your leg?
Brutalizer, actually.
They're scrutinizing you, right? They put a clamp on you, or they put that thing in your car. They're keeping an eye on you.
Yeah, breathalyzer.
Tom,
Breathalyzer.
I'm sorry.
Abel, not Tom.
Speaking of DUIs, Tom's always been to the tailgates. When are we going to see you out there?
I don't drink, man.
I'm not asking you to drink. I'm just asking you to have a good ceviche. When are we going to see you out there?
You know what? I have, like I said a little while ago, I have 10 fighters in my gym. I have 2 more fights this month, 3 fights in the next month. And then we have Murad, a big fight in July, so it's real difficult for me to get down from Big Bear.
We're only going to bug you for the Golovkin fights. Can we get you out there?
Next one.
Abel, any comment on Cuadraza when we may expect his return, if any?
You know what? Carlos has got some personal issues to deal with, some demons that a lot of us in different stages of our life get to deal with, and I think he's got to get those cleared up before he even thinks about it. I think his life is more important outside the ring with his family than anything inside the ring.
Back to boxing, actually. You know, Canelo being the WBC guy, he's going for the WBC belt versus Golovkin. There's a rule that they need to test, but for some strange reason they don't test him. Why not?
That's what I keep asking. If you are rated in the top 15 in the WBC,
or the champ,
you should be subjected to some kind of testing. And that's my question. I keep asking that, but nobody seems to want to answer it.
Abel, so September is the target date, regardless if it's Canelo or not.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, now how does Derevyanchenko play into that? because of that situation?
Tom tried to answer that a little while ago by saying that there are some issues with their bylaws that have to be not only cleared up, and I think the attorneys are talking about that. Once the attorneys get that completely taken care of, then a decision can be made which way he's going to go, whether it's going to be Derevchenko or Charlo or Jacobs. But until they get that situation cleared up, there's nothing really that we can say because it's illegal.
What's the order?
The prize, the fight, the money, or is the priority the belt at this point?
The priority is keeping Golovkin busy.
So it doesn't matter if he has belts or not.
Look, we know now that he's never going to be a unified champion.
What?
Wow. Saunders is never going to fight him. Saunders is never going to fight him because Saunders, like I said a little while ago, is looking for lottery money. He's waiting for that opportunity, and Saunders doesn't want to fight him.
What's lottery money then?
Well, he asked for $7 million to fight Jacobs. Isn't that what he asked for? $7 million.
I know, but it was millions.
Yes,
it was millions.
So imagine Golovkin. It's going to be Anthony Joshua money. So we're kind of, in my opinion, we're kind of certain that we're not going to get that fourth belt. So really, the belts are not as important as Gennady's, what's in Gennady's best interest.
Is he bummed out about that? I know that was a big goal for him.
He's not bummed out. What he's bummed out about, what he would have been bummed out is not being able to fight him, I think, today.
You're obviously not the promoter, but if you were to line up Golovkin's next 4 fights, given Canelo and the mandatories, who would you like to see him fight next in order?
It would be Murata, Jacobs, Charlo, Derevchenko.
Not even Canelo on that list.
He said after Canelo.
After Canelo? Okay.
How confident are you that this Canelo fight is going to happen, given that it's the biggest fight that can happen? There's a lot of bad blood now. Canelo wants it, Gennady wants it, but now it's just kind of fine-tuning everything. But are you confident that it, in fact, does happen in September?
I sure hope so. I hope so for the fans, and I hope so for our sport, because it's the next fight that needs to happen for our sport. The Wilder Joshua fight is in the future. This is the fight that's imminent. This is the fight that should happen because our sport needs it. I'm confident that they're going to sit down and talk, that they come to terms.
He was training for Canelo in this camp. He looked very good in there, regardless of what opponent he was in there with, because the motivation coming into this date was Canelo. What he showed in there tonight.
I don't think so.
No, you don't think so? No?
No. I train my fighters to be, all my fighters. I don't train for an opponent. I train my fighters to be the best they can be. And if I can train them the best they can be, doesn't matter who they put in front of us. If I start saying, I'm going to train for that guy because he's got a great right hand, I'm going to adapt my fighter and change my fighter, I can't do that in 8 weeks. If I train them to be the best they can be and they are 100%, if we can't beat you with 100%, we can't beat you. I've never been one of those coaches that is looking at a guy and says he's got a great left hook, we're going to stay away from his left hook, we're going to stay away from, no. My guy's going to do what we do, and if we can't beat you, then we got more wins.
But the ante wasn't up at all, like for him, desire-wise, like knowing in his eyes that he felt he was coming and working even harder because of that.
No, he works hard all the time. He works hard all the time, and the fact that Bonas is in the ring, look, all these plans could be derailed if he's not focused. Forget about Canelo. If he's not focused on Bonas, all these plans could go out the window.
In my greatest guesstimation, just based off common sense, I'm a very pragmatic person. I think if you fight Canelo, you might be fighting a cheater. Just if you put 1 + 1 + 2, and how concerned are you?
I'm not concerned. If the people that we elect, if the people that are in charge of this sport, that are in charge of protecting the health and welfare of these fighters, decide that is true, who am I to say that they're wrong? We have to trust those people that we elect, and if they say this is what is now, the obvious would be, as I said a little while ago, why isn't he not getting tested to prove to all of us?
That's what I say.
The commission said that this is what happened and this is what the punishment is. Who am I to say it's different?
If you piss your wife off, you have to fix it. You have to rectify it immediately, right? Or anything. A little 5-year-old, right?
Or you can be sleeping on a couch.
It seems like Canelo thinks he runs boxing. He walks around with that machismo. He's like, fuck boxing, I'm in charge.
I said that before at the press conference. That I think that he is in the mindset that boxing revolves around him, and it doesn't. It doesn't because there's a lot of great, contenders that want that opportunity to be there, and they're clean, or they're trying to prove that they're clean to get to that point. If he is clean, prove to those. Don't disrespect those guys that are trying to climb the ladder. You're not only disrespecting the public, you're disrespecting the guys that are making an effort to get to the point where you're at.
Now, you have obviously been very vocal about this entire situation, but have you heard Paulie Malignaggi and what he's said so far? Obviously, he's been from back in the days claiming Pacquiao's been on things before, saying that he knew Canelo was on him forever, that the sport of boxing, like about 80% of them, they're all dirty, and he's just been very vocal himself about it. You didn't hear him, so I can't really get your opinion on what he said, but just knowing some of the words that he's saying and being probably as vocal as you are, just what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that everybody that's involved in this needs to go visit Colón in Puerto Rico. Needs to go visit the young man that got hurt in my Mike Perez fight, Magomed, and see results of injuries to fighters, and then they recognize that we need to make sure that we protect these fighters as much as we can, and make it a level playing field, and prove to the guys coming up that the guys at the top are clean, that the guys at the top are doing things exactly like they're doing, because it's the fair way. It's the fair way, and it's the way to make sure that we have less injuries, less domination by one particular guy because of that. As Lance Armstrong won the thing how many times?
6 times.
Okay,
Six
it
times.
was unfair to the guys below him. It was unfair to the guys that were doing it cleanly. So if there is an issue and there is a problem, go get tested. Go do what you need to do, so that way you prove to the people that are following you up the ladder that this is the way to do it, and you set an example.
Do you think there was somewhat of a positive with Canelo getting busted? Obviously, he's the biggest star in boxing, so the fact that it seems that the testing is working, that it got the biggest star in boxing, do you feel that's somewhat of a positive for others to continue to test?
It's a positive for our sport. Whether he did it or he didn't do it, if it was meat, then maybe we learn a little more about what not to do in Mexico with the meat. But it's a very, very strong positive for our sport to try to keep it as clean as possible.
Abel, if he goes on and fights Canelo and beats him, I think that's the perfect way to end Gennady's career.
Yeah.
I think that as for Floyd, for Andre, for all great elite fighters, if there's a challenge out there, that's what keeps them motivated to go to the gym. It's not the fights that are difficult. It's the gym. It's the 8 weeks, 10 weeks in the gym of taking your body through things that you've been taking it since you were 10 years old. That's the difficult part. The fight's the easy part. I think that if there's challenges out there for him, no, it's not the last fight. I think that he's still young enough to fight until he's 40, the way he's been taking care of himself. But there has to be those challenges.
Do you not see Canelo as the biggest challenge? Or do
Yeah.
you feel he is the biggest
No,
challenge
he's one of a
right now at
challenge.
middleweight?
No, he's one of a challenge. He's right now he's the guy that's in front of us. That's not only a money fight, but some questions need to be answered that weren't answered last September. I think that's what's next, what should happen. But look, at Jacobs and Charlo fight, and it's a great